So you're new to real estate investing and you're wondering what type of investments should I get into in the world of real estate. So in this video, I'm going to give you 4 different types of real estate investing that you could get into. I'll explain what they are, pros and cons, and my favorite approach of getting into real estate investing. So that being said, my name is Sam Kwok, one half the Kwok Brothers, and our channel is all about helping you get started in real estate investing, create cash flow, create wealth, and ultimately set yourself up for financial success. So that being said, if you're new to us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as if you're on Facebook, follow us, and we do have a Facebook group dedicated to helping you get information and connected to other real estate investors. So let's go and get started with type number 1, and that is wholesaling. Now, wholesaling is actually a relatively quote-unquote new concept, but it's gotten popularized in the last decade or so. Now, the traditional form of wholesaling is essentially back in the 2008 through 2012 market crash. A lot of the properties became super duper cheap, pennies on the dollars in many cases. And what ended up happening was a lot of these fix and flippers will buy these properties by dozens, 20, 50. I've even heard stories of a real estate investor buying 100 properties at the same time, pennies on the dollars. And this guy was a flipper, so there was no way he was able to go and flip all 100 properties at once, at least within his operational scale. So what he did is he would sell 80% of his portfolio at a higher markup, where he, may have bought it in pennies on the dollars, but he might sell it 50 cents on a dollar, still cheap, right? And put it on the market and sell it. Now, that's where the name wholesaling came from, is where investors would buy these properties on a wholesale, right, in bulk, kind of like going to Costco or a Sam's Club, whichever you like to go to, right, and buying them in mass and selling them individually for a higher price, and therefore will earn profit through that. And also the fix and flipper kept some of the properties for themselves to either buy and hold or to actually fix and flip it. That's another model. So that is the quote unquote traditional sense of wholesaling. More recently, wholesaling has kind of become more synonymous with contract assigning, which means that you would go and find a very profitable property, put it under contract, and then assign the contract to another investor or buyer for a fee. Now, this is very similar to brokering and acting as a real estate agent, practicing real estate. So there's actually laws in certain states like Illinois or Michigan where if you're a quote unquote wholesaler, you have to get licensed after 4 or 5 transactions every single year. So it's very synonymous, where it's kind of like being a real estate agent, but you're kind of using the technicalities to get around it. So you're essentially, again, it's kind of like me promising to buy this phone from you, right? And there's a little contract saying, hey, on this certain date, I'm going to buy this phone from you for, let's say, $1,000, right? But I can go and actually take that contract, and maybe someone else wants to buy this phone. I can sell that contract for $200, and they have the right to buy this phone for $1,000. So that's essentially what wholesaling has almost kind of become lately, instead of the traditional sense of what it used to be called, or what it really was back in the golden or olden days. So that's wholesaling. I know a lot of successful people who have built multi-million-dollar businesses on wholesaling, but the downside of wholesaling is that obviously you don't get to participate in the wealth creation or the equity of being able to hold the property. And there's no consistent income unless you've scaled a company or a wholesaling company to where you have teams and partners that are bringing in the deals and so on. So that's wholesaling for type number 1. Type number 2 is fix and flipping, something that I've alluded to earlier. And this is the good old sexy, I know I can't say that on YouTube, but good old way of investing in real estate. And we see this a lot in TVs, right? HD TV and so on, where you will buy a piece of property, renovate it, add value by remodeling, making it look pretty, and it's got the wow factor, and putting it back on the market for a higher profit margin. And again, I've seen so many people who are extremely successful with this strategy of fixing and flipping properties. It is fun. I've done a couple of fix and flips myself. It is a fun process to see a very rundown home turning into this beautiful home that someday a family will move into. So that's another strategy. The cons, very similar to wholesaling, is that you have to keep doing fix and flips to have consistent revenue coming in. Again, I met professional fix and flippers that have turned it into a company, and they're getting consistent revenue coming in, which is a whole, completely different thing. But fix and flip in itself, the downside of it is that you get these one-off large checks, which are awesome, but they're not consistent. You have to keep on finding the next deal, and that could be a challenge. Okay. Type number 3, which is actually my favorite type, is buy and hold real estate. And this is your traditional rental property, whether it be a commercial, residential, multifamily. This is a tried and true. You buy it as a landlord, rent it out to other people, have consistent cash flow coming in. You build equity, you build income, again, my favorite way of investing in real estate. I buy apartment buildings, storage units. That's the type of investment I'm in currently. Obviously, pros and cons. Pro, again, you have enough scale of having enough rental properties, and you got a professional team built in, and income's coming in, basically mailbox money, right? The con is that obviously you have to do it in a scale where if you have just one rental property and it's only generating maybe $200-$300 of cash flow, it's really not going to have any significant financial positive impact, right? I mean, still, $200-$300 is still a lot of money for a lot of you guys. And if you do it enough, then you could eventually replace your income and go real estate full time. So I guess that's the con side of it. The other con is that you have to deal with all the liability that comes with tenants and owning it, the code violations, maintenance. Those are things that you have to be smart about, and making sure you have the right team, the management team, attorneys, lawyers, the whole 9 yards to help you run a successful property management operation. So there's pros and cons to that, obviously, but still, nevertheless, my favorite type of investment. I am a little biased towards buy and hold real estate because, again, you build equity, you got income coming in. As long as you have a strong team, your ability to analyze deals and manage people, you will do just great. So that's the third type of real estate investing that you can get involved. The last one is being the bank or being in the notes business, and that has to do with lending money to wholesalers, fix and flippers, and buy and hold. So this category will be hard money, or you can get into seller finance notes. Those are some of the things that you can get into. Seller finance notes particularly would be you could fix and flip, but instead of selling it to a cash buyer or someone who has a mortgage, you could finance the purchase by that buyer. So you're basically lending that person money. You're collecting monthly principal and interest payments, just like the bank, and you're earning interest that way. So it's basically kind of like fix and flipping, but when you sell, you're acting as a bank as well. So I know another individual down in Texas killing it with that type of operation. They buy a home, fix it, renovate it, but sell it. Not like the traditional way, but sell it with seller financing. So they're collecting payments every month. And then they do that a couple times, and they're killing it. So that's another way of getting to investments, or go straight into seller finance notes, where one of the ways that you would do that is you would work with a partner that has a lot of money. You would essentially act as an underwriter, and you would lend money out to other investors. Obviously, there's a lot of risk involved, but very low effort, because you're just lending money away and you're just earning interest and collecting interest and payments. So those are the 4 major types of real estate investing. Pretty much all real estate investing strategies fall into these 4 types, whether it's wholesaling, fix and flip, buy and hold, or seller finance notes, or lending operations, I should say. So there's no right or wrong in terms of what types of investment you should get into. It should really more so fit into what investment strategy best fit your lifestyle goal, and where do you want to be? Do you want to have consistent cash flow coming in and build your equity? Well, buy and hold is going to be the way. Do you want to have a very fun and excitement operation? You love working with contractors and you love turning a destroyed home into a fully furnished home, then fix and flip is going to be good for you, right? So it comes all down to, what are your strengths? What are you best at? Are you good at managing people? Are you more analytical? It all comes down to your strengths and weaknesses, preferences, and lifestyle goals that could direct what type of investments you want to do in real estate. That's what you need to figure out, and then ultimately build teams around that. So hopefully this gave you some pretty good idea as to what type of real estate investing you want to get into. Again, for other videos, helpful tips, and training, check out some of our videos and subscribe to our channel, as well as follow us on Facebook. We also do have a Facebook group that you guys can get connected and plugged into. So check that out. Until next time, we'll see you in another video. Take care.